Hi, I'm Marcia, and today's video is our album exchange and review. We're on the Canadian Stud Muffins channel, Larry Graves, we have Glenn Calloway from The Basement, Steve from All the World's a Stage, and Chris Levine from the Refresh.
Yep.
He can't help needling you, Glenn, even when you're not in the same room. All right, so first we're going to review last week's albums. Why don't we start with Chris? Chris, what did you pick?
Okay, I got two nice ones again. I got Flamin Groovies, Flamingo, and I got Donovan. Yep, and I've got Donovan's Sunshine Superman, which I think was Glenn. Two good records. I really dug the garage sound of Flamingo. Stylistically, sonically, very cool. What's interesting is that the standout track for me is one that was a little bit less like that, but I still like all of them. I liked She's Falling Apart a lot. That was a great song. I just, to cut to the chase, it was a really good record. I enjoyed it. I could picture myself listening to it again, and I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. And the other one, Sunshine Superman, I have that record, but I haven't listened to it in a very long time. And the idea of all of the tracks, I wasn't familiar with all the tracks. So a good standout track that I really liked was Ferris Wheel. That's not one that I hear all the time. So I thought that was kind of a neat track. I love the whole Eastern flavor, the Indian flavor and tinge to that song. And for that time period, it's just very cool. I love the vibe of the entire thing. I gave that one a 7 out of 10.
There we go.
All right. Steve, you're up.
All right. I chose Larry's offering of Flo and Eddie, Moving Targets, and also Larry's offering of the Buckinghams, In One Ear, Gone Tomorrow. So I guess I will start first with Flo and Eddie. Now, only thing I have by them, I mean, I have a bunch of stuff as the Turtles, but as their act, Flo and Eddie, I think all I had was one album. But this was pretty much what I kind of expected as them as Flo and Eddie. The vocals are there. The vocals will always be there. I mean, that's why you hear them on dozens and dozens of albums. To me, it's just the songwriting is not as good as the partners they had when they were in the Turtles. So for that, I am giving it a 7, Shine On Brightly. Okay. And then up next, I have, yeah, and you know what, Larry? I went to a record collector show yesterday. You get bonus points.
Sucking up to Larry today. Picks his new albums, gives him bonus points. Oh.
I'll send you the money later, Steve.
Was that a coincidence, Steve?
No, because actually I ended up buying 3 Buckingham albums yesterday. So
well, you were in Chicago. It is a Chicago band.
Easy to find. I got a couple Crying Shames albums also from Chicago, so very easy to find. But when I first 2 listens of this, I did probably first 3 listens. Yeah, I did it all just online, so it was digital. And I think the first 2 listens, I was like, you know what? The good songs are really good, and there's a couple weak songs. But then once I played the album, I played it yesterday, and I played it again today, I liked it even more. So it kind of rode in between the 2 of an 8 and a 9. So I'm giving it an 8.5.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's your 9?
Very generous today.
My 9 is Killer. 8 is Smoking.
Okay. So we can't even do like a Brangelina thing with it.
No.
That smoke is killing me.
Miller.
Smelling?
Miller. Killing. Can do killing. It's killing. So there you go.
Glenn.
Okay. As far as the album exchange goes this week, I was very bored. Sorry. I had the Flamin Groovies Flamingo from Marcia, and Flo and Eddie from Larry. So I'll start with Flo and Eddie. I heard this album before in a album exchange with Larry we did before, and I think I gave it better marks than I'm giving it today. But I just put plain and simple, this is a pop album. That's what it is. I agree with Steve. Lyrically, it's just kind of blah to me. Like it's too poppy for my tastes. I'm not a top 40 guy. So it's well done. Like songs, vocally, you know, who could argue with Flo and Eddie's voices? Eleanor is the best track on the album, but it's a Turtles song. They're just regurgitating it. So they don't get points for that. I am not disliking this album, not loving this album. It's a 5 out of 10. It's nowhere, man. Next, the Flamin Groovies Flamingo. This is just like a kind of a rock and roll album / rock album. I mean, Gonna Rock Tonight, the opening track is a total rock and roll track. There's a song called Heading for the Texas Border, which kind of just roughly reminded me of a very primitive Jumpin' Jack Flash kind of guitar lick. 6 rockin' tracks in a row, and then we get like a country song. And then the song that Chris mentioned, She's Falling Apart, was very psych pop, 65, 66, had that sound. Covered the song Around and Around, basically the same arrangements as the Stones would use, or pretty much anybody else uses on that track. And again, there's nothing wrong with the album. It's fine. I just could never see myself listening to it a lot. So again, I got 2 5s today. Nothing wrong with it.
Boy,
good record, but just
That's a 10.
Not something that excited me that much.
Well, you know, Glenn, it's interesting that you make the Rolling Stone references, because Mick Jagger did say at the time they were the best band in the U.S.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yep. And this was before Exile on Main Street. So I can hear some of the things that Jagger took from this album in his delivery.
Oh, then the Stones just did it better.
I'm not going to argue that they didn't do it better. I am a fan of that record, so I won't argue with you.
Okay.
Larry.
Well,
floor's yours.
I had Flamingo 2, Flamin Groovies. I loved it. There was one song that really, I actually kind of broke down a bit and cried when he's singing, Make My Second Cousin My First Wife.
Hey, I'm the banjo player in the group.
Yeah. No, but I love the energy of the songs. There's like the first song, there's a bass solo, a drum solo. It's a really fun record, really upbeat. And Chris mentioned She's Falling Apart. I have it as an asterisk there. It's the best song on the album, the slow song. Yeah, great drumming throughout. I love the energy. And I gave it an 8. It's irreplaceable.
Oh.
Yeah, it's very good.
Your second choice.
Much nicer.
Oh, my second one? Okay. My second one was Dolan Sings Nesmith. Every song was, I am a big fan of the Monkees and Micky Dolenz. My favorite song was probably Tomorrow and Me, really nice violin in it. And then Circle Sky, the old Monkees song, it's like turns it into like Indian music. And Little Red Rider, it's heavy rock, which kind of surprised me. But I loved every song. I think Micky Dolenz is one of the greats from the 60s.
A 10.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Ding, 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 ding,
Yeah.
ding.
Nice.
I gave it a 10 today too. It was just too
Yeah,
fun.
I loved every song.
That is a home run.
Yeah.
It sure is.
So I'm up next, and I also reviewed the Micky Dolenz Sings Nesmith record, and I forgot to grab it before I sat down, but when Glenn and I met up in August, he gave me the Micky Dolenz autobiography.
Oh, yeah.
I owe you. I need to return that to you.
No, it's not a big deal. Pay it forward.
Okay, I will. I will. So I do like Micky Dolenz. To me, he is probably one of the top 3 pop vocalists from the 60s. His voice is just incredible, and it still is, because I saw him in April 2023. He was here in Orlando, and it was a delight. So I was very well aware that he is still in good voice, because I saw him perform 9 months ago. I had not listened to this album before, and I didn't listen to it before that concert either. He didn't perform anything off of this record at that concert. Unlike most Monkees fans, and I should add, the Monkees were my first favorite band. My first favorite album was the debut Monkees album. I don't like Circle Sky, and I don't like Tapioca Tundra. And this album did not change my opinion about those songs. So those are just songs that I don't care for, no matter the arrangements. But everything else on that album was just extremely delightful. It was such a charming listen and an easy listen. Some of the Monkees stuff that they did in the 80s and 90s, they were like trying to chase trends too much. So a lot of that stuff just sounds so super cheesy. And in this album, which was produced by Mike Nessman's son, didn't you say, Glenn? It's like they just said, let's just do arrangements that will complement Micky Dolenz, as opposed to trying to chase after what the sound is today, so that it can be appealing. Because this, to me, is a record that's timeless. Like, I'm going to listen to this in 20 years and it's still going to sound good, because they didn't try to do anything gimmicky in it, So I liked it a lot. Outside of those 2 songs that I had mentioned earlier. So it's a 7. I like it like that. My next is Sunshine Superman. And I have some issues with this album. And I'm pulling up my notes here. And my issue is, 1, there's a lot of what I like to call hippie Ren Fair bullshit. I do not like, as Steve knows, I do not like songs that contain lyrics referencing maidens, knights, earls. I don't like that medieval stuff. I can't stand it. And I know that, he kind of set that trend in motion, doing some of the hippie Ren Fair bullshit, as I like to call it. Like, I like hippie. It's the Renaissance Fair stuff I don't care for. I mean, I know he was very influential in that whole UK folk movement in terms of like hearkening back to older times, like Fairpoint Convention did on some of their later stuff with Sandy Denny. But that's just not to my taste. My second issue is 3 Kingfishers. And my biggest issue on this album is Legend of the Girl Child Linda. Oh boy. What a monotonous, droning, plotting, never-ending song that is. That is just so awful. And to make it the second track is just a crime, because it opens so strongly,
How does it feel, Glenn?
This is starting to remind me of Dawes.
Oh, that song, and yeah, that song is terrible. And then, it's a crime that it then goes into Three Kingfishers, because I've listened to this album. I don't own it. It's like I said, it starts off so strong and then it just tanks. It picks back up though, because like Chris, Ferris Wheel is excellent. That is a great recovery from those two stinkers. And then the rest of it is pretty good. I don't care for Guinevere. Again, my prior comment about maidens and earls and knights. But what I found so amazing is he was 19 and 20 years old when he made this album. And that to me is just remarkable, because, when I was 19, 20 years old, I was just living at my parents, making minimum wage and smoking a lot of cigarettes and working in a shoe store. Like, I didn't do anything that creative. And I know all of his use of sitar and harpsichord and all that was very influential for other artists and things. I think he used a sitar before the Beatles. And to me, that is quite a testament to the talent that he has. And I know people compare him to Dylan and stuff, but he's 100 times the guitarist that Dylan is. I think that comparison is very unfair. So even though I think there is stuff on that album that I think is not good, I can't deny what a monumental album this was for the time, how influential it was. So I'm giving it a 7.
Whoa. I was waiting for
giving
it.
I
did
like
not
it like
expect
that.
a 7 at all.
Because I do love Sunshine Superman. That is a 5. And Season of the Witch, that is a 5. And those two stinkers are what really brings it down. And one of those stinkers is 9 minutes long. It's not good. So yes, a 7. And I will say, like,
Marcia has a short attention span.
Yes. You're just now figuring that out?
I'm just figuring it out.
How many episodes are we in?
Keep your comments under 5 minutes or Marcia's going to tune out on you.
Anyways, we'll just wrap this up now, Glenn.
No, no, that's good. I appreciate the 7.
Yeah, I'm kind of at a loss for words in terms of what I was trying to say, but I do recognize like what an influential album it is, and that can't be overshadowed.
This was Marcia at a loss for words. Is that what you just said?
I couldn't find.
Kind of an oxymoron. Is that what you're saying, Steve?
I'm recognizing, Steve, that I'm using a lot of words that I don't need to because I can't find the right one. Anyways, so I guess we're done with this episode. Come back to our next one where we offer up suggestions for our next album reviews. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Goodbye.